Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dads on the Rocks podcast. I, as always, am your host, Freddy Maas. Today is episode 25 of the Dads on the Rocks podcast, our quintessential, 25. It's a quarter. Today's guest is a little bit different, and I'm very excited and very honored to have him on the show today. He is somebody that helped me quite a bit in the podcasting world when I first started, and even today he's helping me out by being on the show. Today's guest is one of the three hosts of the Simplistic Reviews Podcast. Today I'm joined by none other than Mr. DJ Valentine. DJ, say hi to everybody.
Hey, it's funny because I'm not a father and I don't drink as much on the show. I drink, but I don't drink when I podcast because I have to keep my co-hosts who do imbibe on occasion
quite a bit here and there
under control. so I don't know what I'm doing here. Actually, I'm kind of like the anti Dads on the Rocks podcast guy. Who is the complete opposite? We can get on this show. I know, DJ Valentine.
We gotta shake it up.
He's a childless heathen who doesn't drink anything.
Yeah, what was I doing? Let's just end it right here. But
well, I think I walked into the wrong door. Am I in the wrong show? Yeah, hello. Well, it's great to be on the show. I'm happy and I guess I'm honored. I'm rarely asked to be on shows because I'm kind of long-winded. So I'm going to drag this podcast into the ground.
Oh, good, because I needed something like that.
Well, no, I'm happy to be here.
Good. As you said, you don't drink all that often, and we were even talking pre-show.
I drank with you, Freddie. Freddie, don't even.
I know you have.
I've had drinks with Fred. People, listen to me.
We watched Game of Thrones when it was good.
Drunk as hell. Freddie has seen me in a drunken stupor, screaming at the screen when Cersei's doing something stupid. He's seen me. I just don't drink when I podcast. Okay, if I'm out podcasting, I'm usually in a vat of alcohol, but not now. Okay, I'm sober as a judge.
All right, so I'm gonna glossy-eyed over the drinking part because I am and DJ is not, and I've had a day, so my speech is gonna get a little bit slurred. Sorry, I'm not sorry, but
I've been here. I've done it. I'll control this podcast, guys. Freddie's going into the drink.
Now on to your new host, DJ Valentine. Dads on the Rocks.
All right, guys, welcome to the Dads on the Rocks podcast. I'm not a dad, or I'm definitely not on the rocks. How you guys doing?
As I mentioned before, DJ is one of the three hosts of the Simplistic Reviews podcast. DJ, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your own show and what you guys do? Because I've listened to you guys for a decade now, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
You're the
one. From the beginning, I've listened to you guys and like clockwork. Every first of the month, I am eager to hear the new show. But if anybody out there who has not heard yours that has heard ours, why don't you tell them about it?
We talk movies, we talk TV, we talk crazy things all the time. We try and do it once a month. If a regular movie entertainment podcast is the news, we're kind of like the Jon Stewart Daily Show, where we kind of make fun of most of entertainment news, and we kind of play games and we do sketches, which Freddie has helped tremendously. I mean, I think he's on I think you're like 20 sketches from last year. So,
I got a really
from this year.
I got an actual microphone, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm ready to help."
I was like, "Are you sure?" Because I'm gonna give you 38 scripts.
About it.
Well, no, we do some stuff. We do movie commentaries. We recorded a movie commentary yesterday, which is probably gonna get us canceled. And sometimes we do little shorts, like 15 minutes on a movie called Simply 15, and we do a whole bunch of stuff. We're a whole kit and caboodle of silly movie entertainment news analysis, I would say.
So just like, actually, I've sort of mimicked, because I love your own release schedule. I've kind of mimicked my own. You guys release on the 1st of every month, and then Simply 15 comes out on the 15th of every month, and then the movie commentary comes out the 25th.
I think he's gonna do it used to be the 20th. I think he might be Justin. He's in charge of the scheduling. I think he's gonna move it to the 25th. But yes, the movie show, the regular entertainmently crazy pod SNL kind of a podcast that comes out on the 1st Simply 15 on the 15th. And I think we're starting up a new show, which I'm not allowed to speak about because I don't want to get canceled by Justin.
Imagine Justin canceling somebody.
Justin's going to cancel me. Yeah. I think it's going to be on that 20th spot. Don't hold me to this. And then the commentary might move to 25th. But yeah, we usually have a whole bunch of stuff. And then sometimes we'll do a special. We'll do Simplistic Reviews Ruins History or something like that. We'll throw that in there. We just try and make as much stupid content as possible, I would say. Where we make stupid comment.
I've always described your show as three guys who know a lot about film and TV that make way too many dick jokes. Yes. and curse way too much, who are very too opinionated, but yes, they also make great points.
Through the dick jokes and drunken haze, you can find a little kernel, a little morsel of knowledge. You get through, just wade through all of the sexual innuendos, and you can get right to the nitty gritty of film entertainment commentary.
I do love film and TV, and that's why I fell in love with the Simplistic Reviews podcast. Not to mention that one of the triumvirate, that's a new word for the day, is one of my best friends, Matthew Stewart. He is one of the three, and he introduced me to DJ, and it's been an absolute pleasure knowing you, DJ. And
thank you.
And all
Matthew Stewart, he's the Ray Stantz of we look at it as a Ghostbusters thing. He's the Ray Stantz of the Simplistic Reviews podcast. He's like the heart and soul. Justin's kind of the Peter Venkman. I guess I'm Slimer. I don't know. I'm telling you.
I love how you did not go with I'm the black guy.
I'm not Winston. I'm not cool enough to be Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson's a cool dude.
Nobody else can be that Ernie Hudson. Maybe,
no.
What would Julie be?
Julie is definitely Janine. He's Janine.
Yeah,
clearly Janine.
Right, okay, yeah. Julie, if you don't know, I'm not going to spoil it. Go ahead and listen to the Simplistic Reviews podcast, and you'll find out who Julie is.
There's a whole story behind Julie. I remember when we first did the podcast, and I was like, in terms of the little humor I have, I got from this radio host down south in Florida called Neil Rogers, and I got a lot of it from Miss MST3K, and I got a lot of it from Conan. And Conan O'Brien, he was a master of self-deprecation. Mm-hmm. And I go, we're doing a podcast, and we're super opinionated. We're, as Freddy has pointed out, we curse a lot. So we decided to say, hey, why don't we just have somebody insult our show at every moment, to take the fangs out of anybody listening that would insult our show. So have Julie say whatever insult you come to the show, Julie's already come up with a better version of every insult. So if you ever watch the show and you hear Julie, you'll notice everything she says is an insult to the show. Or us, or both. That's
brilliant. It's been a decade and I've never even realized that.
If you ever listen to Julie, if you ever hear her say anything about the show, and she intros she's our announcer, she does all the intros and outros. But if you've ever paid attention to what she says, it's usually an insult to me or the show.
DJ, as you said earlier, you are not a father. So what the hell are you doing here?
I'm a no. Apologies, brother.
So no, I am not. I guess that counts. But everybody has a story. Everybody has had a father in the past in one form or another, or they have known a father figure or something. Everybody has a voice here on the Dads on the Rocks podcast. So I know you personally, you did not have a strong father figure growing up.
No.
I know that was replaced by your mom and your older sister.
Younger sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought she was. I always thought she was older than you.
She's the closest I'm going to get to a child, because I raised her when she was. My mother had her when I was 13. So
okay. Goodness gracious! Yeah. I didn't know that. I always thought she was your older sister.
You know why? Because she's mature.
And you are clearly not.
I'm clearly not.
Okay, so you were raised by your mom, and then you had that father figure over her. So what was that like growing up for you, where you didn't have that, but you had to bestow that on somebody else?
It was funny because, like, when I was younger, I remember this vividly. I remember begging my mother to see a little film called Die Hard when I was a little kid. And I was, that's 88. I was 10. So I was underage, and I told my mother, I was like, look, if you, I brought it to the table. I go, look, I'm 10 years old, but look, if you take me to see this movie, you don't have to buy me anything for Christmas. I just want to see this movie. I saw a trailer. It's a freaking amazing. And please, just let me see the movie. You don't have. I'm negotiating here. I'm doing the art of the deal. And she says, okay. And she takes me to see Die Hard, and I literally it changed my life forever. And I still got Christmas gifts that year. And then I remember my mother realizing that I'm not gonna freak, because a lot of parents don't want their kids to see an R-rated movie because they think they're gonna freak out.
Right.
And I didn't. She noticed I didn't freak out, so she made me start watching some more. She allowed me to see some more.
Yeah.
And there was one movie that I got to see, but I didn't see all of it. And it was called Black Rain, starring Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia, directed by Ridley Scott. And I fell asleep. I was too young. I fell asleep maybe the first 10 minutes. And my mother, God bless her, knew I wanted to see it. It was just very tired. She literally one day, as we're driving somewhere far, it was a long drive, explained to me the entire plot of Black Rain. And that kind of probably taught me how to be a storyteller, kind of. Right. And she broke down every little facet of Black Rain, which is not, Black Rain is like, it's a throwaway movie, but I loved it. So when I was like, my sister was born, I was like, I'm gonna try and bestow film love to my sister. And then very young age, I was like, I'm gonna see if I'm gonna make her watch some scary stuff, and I'm just gonna weed her into it. And this is where Freddie thinks my sister's older than me, because my sister at a very young age is very, very mature. I remember making her sit down and watch a movie. I will get into it later because it's on one of the lists I have here. And she was maybe 8, and she figured out the twist 10 minutes in. And I think she realized, and I realized then, that she is so smart that movies are beneath her. So she's not a huge movie person. I tried. I think there's certain movies she loves. She loves Avengers, and she loves the Incredibles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I took her with, but certain, if I tell her to go watch watch Sound of Music, she's a music person. She's not a movie person. As much as I've tried, sometimes I beg her. I drug her to see The Force Awakens. I drug her to see again, if it's Marvel, she's in, because I think I mean,
that's an easy sell, though.
Right. I got her early with that, because I think I took her to see. I always tell this story. When I saw the Avengers for the first time, I took her to see it, and the greatest bonding moment that we ever had was, there's a scene in the Avengers. If you haven't seen the Avengers and you're living under a rock, or you're Freddy, where there's the whole climactic battle where they're going from Avenger to Avenger as they're fighting all the Chitauri and all that other stuff. And I just remember my sister sitting next to me, and she just whispers over. She hadn't said anything the entire movie. She just leans over and goes, "This is so cool." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I got her." So every Avengers movie, and recently we've seen Spider-Man: No Way Home. Spoiler alert for Spider-Man: No Way Home. And there's a certain, I won't spoil it, but a certain character shows up, and it's literally the same. And my sister doesn't say anything the entire movie, and I'm geeking out because I'm an old man. I'm ashamed. Yeah. And I'm just, this is great. And my sister, I turn, I look at her, and she's just crying. Because she's a grown woman now, but I just, that anything Marvel related or comic book related, she kind of is cool. If it's anything else, if it's any other movie, she's kind of like, I'm all right.
But it's funny, they have a way, specifically in the MCU, that they have a way of planting those seeds a little bit and tugging and giving you that fan service. And I know fan service is at this point kind of cliche, but I don't give a shit. It is exactly what I want. I know exactly who you're talking about.
When done well,
is put in there. Exactly. When done well, it's perfect.
I mean, I've seen the other side of the pendulum, where I have a lot of people give me crap when they're like, "Oh, do something different." I understand that, but sometimes you don't. I'll say you don't have to, but again, if you execute it well, you can give me something different and still serve me, because that's what you're supposed to be doing, serving me. Sometimes you want to serve me something different, something I didn't know I wanted, and it works. You're like, "Oh wow, I didn't even know I wanted this. This is excellent."
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you do that, and it's like, this is awful. And that's the risk you take when you do something different. And sometimes you serve me something that I want. Give me the fan service, and it's cliche, like you're saying. And then sometimes you do Spider-Man: No Way Home, where it seems like you're paying off 2 decades of stuff. Yeah. And it's like, that's fan service that thought out correctly works, which you can do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that was an easy gamble. but it wasn't a stupid one by any means.
No.
It was perfectly done. I mean, I have my own issues with No Way Home, and we can do an entire show about that, but that's not what we're doing today. But and honestly, I will say this: like, one of the things that I hated about No Way Home had nothing to do with the movie. It was that I was so excited about the movie that I couldn't wait to find out things about it before it ever came out.
Oh yeah, you fucked yourself.
I did it, and it's not the movie's fault. I 100% admit that it's my own fault and my own, like, looking at your presents before Christmas kind of thing.
Yeah, I go blackout on something like a certain other movie came out in March, and I had I think I watched the first trailer. I'm talking about the Batman.
Yeah, and I have not seen it yet, by the way. I'm waiting for it to go to streaming.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. I have children. I cannot go to the movie theater.
No, you have reasons. You have reasons. But no, I usually, if I see a movie and I'm like, I'm really excited to see a movie, especially certain movies, I will black out. Like, I'll be like, okay, I don't want to see anything else. I watched the first trailer for the Batman. I was like, I'm good. So any TV spots or Twitter, I will mute it because I don't want to. I want to go in cold. Certain other movies, like, I don't care. Like, whatever Eternals, I didn't really care. You show me whatever, I don't. But for special things like the Batman or No Way Home or something, I kind of go, okay, I kind of think I kind of, not say suspected what was going to happen, but just in case, I didn't want to see any trailer. Like, there's a movie coming out soon, and a friend of mine on Twitter, it's called there's a movie coming out called The Northman. It's like a Viking revenge thing with
what's his name, Eric from True Blood.
Yeah. Skarsgård, Peter Skarsgård, I think.
Eric. No, I keep going to Eric because I don't.
But the guy,
there's like 6 of them. I don't know.
One of those Skarsgårds. One of those Skarsgårds. But yeah, a guy tweeted out to me because they released a clip, and he tweeted at me, "Don't watch this." I was like, "Thank you," because I have a feeling it's going to show me something that I don't want to see. Because sometimes I want to go in. If it's a movie I'm anticipating, I want to go in as cold turkey as possible, because I don't want to have the experience Freddy had, where you're like, I seen so much, or not seen so much, but like, they're telling me so much stuff. I have all this stuff built up, and then it's easy for a letdown. You kind of want to go, especially and it's not for every movie. It's just the certain special ones, like Infinity War, or stuff like that. With Mission Impossible, Fallout, it's stuff, big thing, a Bond movie that's big. I will kind of go, okay, you got my money already. Yeah. I'm gonna go watch you. I don't need to see any commercials. The commercial, I always say, for if they're ever gonna release a big blockbuster, like when Endgame was coming out, and I was like, you know what, your trailers could just be got people talking about, hey, Endgame's coming out. just have the Russo brothers in a white room, no background, no footage. Where movie's coming out, you're gonna see it. That's the commercial.
And if honestly, they didn't need to say anything for Endgame, which it and I know I'm coming back to MCU, but like, I love how they did it. They didn't give too much away because there was so much fan service things. Endgame is my absolute favorite in the first 10 years of the first 3 phases, because there was so much that payoff in just that movie alone.
It's funny. Like, wow, Endgame's, you have Endgame over Infinity War. Wow.
Yeah. And I love it's not to say that I don't love that one. Like, Ultron was one of my all-time favorites because it has one of our favorites, James Spader. Can we just, okay, forget all that. Can we just stop for just a second and talk about James Spader's voice?
Oh, he's great. He's fantastic.
Like, you and I have talked about The Blacklist so often that I would do anything to get The Blacklist in my head all the time.
I was watching it's funny because I was just talking about The Blacklist yesterday, and I stopped watching maybe 3 seasons back, and then somebody was watching it near me, and they told me a character was not on the show anymore, and I'm like, last time I was watching the show, if this character wasn't there, Red Reddington would be like ballistic, because they're like, well, he is looking for, like, no, I've seen a scene where Red Reddington covered a man in gasoline and stuck a cigar in his mouth just to see if he would light himself on fire, and then literally said, the suspense is killing me, and then shot him because he didn't want to wait. That guy is a psychopath. Now he's like, kind of like, they muted him. But yeah, Spader as a whole.
I'm gonna take a page out of your book, kids. If you haven't seen The Blacklist,
especially the first, I'd say 3 seasons. If you're a Spader fan and haven't seen The Blacklist, or you're a Spader fan and you haven't seen Boston Legal, or you're a Spader fan and you haven't seen Pretty in Pink, or if you're a Spader fan, you haven't seen 2 Days in the Valley. If you're a Spader fan, James Spader or The Office. What's his name? California. I forget.
Yeah, Robert California.
Robert California. He has one of the greatest lines. I'm the Lizard King.
I'm
one of the greatest lines of all time. Spader's awesome. So when they cast him as Ultron, I was like, oh yeah. But to me, and I know you loved Ultron, and I'm a fan of Ultron. I think it's I'd say much malign, more malign than it needs to be. I wanted evil, cold Ultron with Spader's voice, and they gave me Spader as Tony Stark, which is fun and entertaining, but
which makes sense, but it's not what I wanted.
Yeah, he would have eaten it up as cold Ultron, because in the books and any other form, Ultron isn't cracking jokes. He's just like, I'm going to kill all of you.
Yeah, he's cold and calculated and meticulous.
He's a Terminator.
Evil. Yeah, exactly. Oh God. I would even go like talking about the Blacklist, because it makes me sad that it's been so many years since I've seen it. But just the first season, give it the first season, just from one to final. I don't know, 15 episodes that season. I can't even remember. Just how it was episodic, and then it wasn't all of a sudden was just the best payoff I didn't know that I wanted. So if you've ever seen James Spader in anything and dig that kind of voice,
it's his most. He's full Spader. He's just
he goes.
He gets to play a badass. Spader. He gets to play charming. He gets to play almost
funny, conniving, and terrifying.
They essentially just say, "Hey, Spader, go nuts,"
Mm-hmm.
which is why I kind of liked this show for 3 seasons. I think I dropped off because of it got a lot convoluted of, is he the father? Is he not the father? I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just give me Spader being Spader. And again, if you want to see Spader at his funniest, just watch any season of Boston Legal. That's the funniest Spader has ever been. His chemistry.
I've never seen that, and I'm 100% down to watch it. Okay, so that is going to lead us into our next segment.
Right.
So, DJ and I workshop here and there on skits for Simplistic Reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, we did the Morbius, where actually no, he wrote the script entirely, but I helped with that one. But
you were Morbius. You were Michael. I was
Michael Morbius at your service.
At your service.
But one of the things that I was really proud of was the C-SPAN, the Simplistic Reviews C-SPAN.
Love that sketch.
That was very good. It started in one way, and then DJ took it another way, and then we think tanked it, and it turned out at what it was, and it was very good. But I had an idea of playing a game because I've always wanted to guest on the Simplistic Reviews podcast, and I've always had this idea of playing a game called "The Hell's the Matter with You," where I and the other guys in the Simplistic Reviews podcast talk about where they list movies that are obviously a movie that you would have seen before. Clearly, this is a movie that you would have seen before. And me, I only started catching up on movies in the past couple of years, and I'm not quite there yet. So,
right. I would say that for as weird and depraved as we are on the Simplistic Reviews podcast, between the three of us, we've pretty much seen everything. I think we've seen maybe a blind spot might be European film, but I've seen a lot of European films. This last 2 years since the pandemic, I've been catching up on all my Bollywood stuff. We've seen everything. So when we have Freddy here who hasn't seen shit,
and not just like this weird like indie film, whatever, like
big stuff.
I saw the first Lord of the Rings movie like 3 years ago, and I never watched any of the other ones. I'm sorry if that dips.
We'll stop after Return of the King, and you're good. You're fine. You can stop right there.
Okay, so today we're gonna play a game called "The Hell's the Matter with You," where DJ is gonna start listing movies from, I think you said 15.
I have 15 here. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start at 15. 15 being the most likely, like the most passable. Like, okay, I can kind of see where you wouldn't have seen this before, up until number one, like the most. What the hell is the matter with you?
If you visit my Letterboxd page, trying to be DJV on Letterboxd, you will see that the following 15 films are all in my 5-star classic. It's the highest rating you can give these movies. So every movie on this list, I gave 5 stars. These are all some of my favorite films of all time. And I'm not 100% sure if Freddie has seen them. I have no idea. And some of them, I think he might have mentioned it, but I'm not even sure if he's seen all of it. He might have just, I've heard of this thing. I'm pretty sure he's heard of these movies. I'm not sure if he's seen them. I think, and to give you some credit, I think you can get 10 of these. I think you've got 10 in your. You
think I can go 10?
I think you can go 10 out of 15. If you go less than 10 out of 15, you got some explaining to do, my friend.
Okay, I think because I know you and I know me, I think if I hit 6, I'm in great shape.
He's doing a touchdown dance. He gets 6.
Yeah. I'm doing the hands on the knees, like in there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
All right.
It's funny because we workshop these sketches. And I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing about the Last Boy Scout. I remember this. It was like almost the other day. He's like, I've never seen the Last Boy Scout. It's like I don't get this joke. I'm like, oh shit. Well, I'm doing this thing called Network. And it was what network? USA? No. This movie. This. Anyway, all right. Top 15. All right, we're starting from least likely to have seen it to what? What the hell's the matter with you? Okay. Number 1. This is. I don't think you.
Oh, number 15. Number 15.
Or 15. Whatever. Yes. Flip the numbers. Number 15. No, I have it listed as 1. Anyway, number 15. This is an animated film, so I don't think you've seen it, but it's a 5-star classic. It's called Akira.
I have not seen that.
You have not. I figured it's a manga. It's maybe the Citizen Kane of animated Japanese manga movies, but it's fine. Akira's a very good movie. I recommend. It's one of some of the greatest animation of all time. The comic book, I think, is still going on. I have to look it up. Anyway, skipping that one. It's fine. Yeah, watch it. Very good. Number 2, Leon the Professional.
Never seen it. Never heard of it.
Okay, there was an actor in here called Jean Reno, and another actor you might have heard of named Gary Oldman, and another actor in there named Natalie Portman, and maybe her second role. She was a little girl in this movie. It's one of the best freaking movies of all time. Danny Aiello,
at least in the top 15.
Oh man, but I had a feeling you had seen it. It's kind of a fringe action, romantic kind of. If you put Lolita and John Wick together, you don't know these 2 movies anyway. Okay, number 3, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. A guy named Clint Eastwood's in this movie. I don't know if you've heard of Clint Eastwood.
I've never seen it. I was confusing it with what?
You're confusing it.
No, I was confusing it with the other like spaghetti western one. Was it?
This is possibly the greatest prequel of all time. Yes, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a prequel movie. If you've seen it, you'll know why. Yes, it stars Clint Eastwood, Eli Wallach, and a little man named Lee Van Cleef, who was the totem for a character in the Boba Fett show called what's his name? Cad Bane. Cad Bane is based on Lee Van Cleef's character in the Good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, right. That's why he looks exactly like him. Other than the blue face. Number 4. First off, watch A Good, the Bad, the Ugly. If you're not a West, okay, it's a Western. I don't know if you like Westerns. I'm not sure, but it's one of the best Westerns ever.
Okay. Pause real quick. What is the difference between a Western and a spaghetti Western?
This is a spaghetti Western because spaghetti Western is made by an Italian film director. This is made by the great Sergio Leone, he was Italian, and they filmed a lot of these, I think, in Italy. But most of these are made by like Django, the original Django. I think was spaghetti Western because that's made by I think an Italian director as well. Don't hold me to this, but yes, this was the first film my stepfather made me force me to watch. You must watch this movie, and it got me into Westerns. It was funny because I saw this first because it's 3 of them. There's a trilogy. It's called the Man with No Name trilogy. It's a fistful of dollars, a few dollars more, and then The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is the 3rd one, but it takes place before those 2 movies. Anyway, moving on. Number 4, The Usual Suspects.
Yes, I have seen The Usual
Suspects. Thank God. Okay,
with Kaiser Sose.
Yes,
with Kevin Spacey,
the actor who shall remain nameless.
No, I'm still a Spacey fan. I know that he did some dubious shit, but
dubious. Yeah,
I'm still gonna watch House of Cards. I'm still gonna watch K-Pax. I'm not gonna watch K-Pax, but
I own K-Pax actually.
K-Pax was my first introduction to Cape and Space.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Glenn Glary. Okay, yeah. Usual Suspects is written by a guy who I talk about a lot, who people probably don't know, who's a very big deal now. It was written by this guy named Christopher McQuarrie, and Christopher McQuarrie is now the guy that Tom Cruise has making all the Mission Impossible movies. He also did one of my favorite films of all time, The Way of the Gun, which I know you have not seen. But Usual Suspects is an amazing film. I'm glad you've seen it because you're getting on the list of you're striking out, but you got the Usual. I'm happy. All right, here we go. I think you've seen this. You had to have seen this. There's no way you didn't see this movie. This is and me and Justin will have a fight here because, well, not really much of a fight because Justin is the Batman James Bond aficionado. He's the one I go to with all my questions about Batman and James Bond. But this is my favorite James Bond movie. And it's pretty recent, so recency bias. Skyfall.
I have never seen a single James Bond film. I think I just lost all credibility with.
Don't tell Justin because he might come for you.
Doesn't Justin live on the West Coast?
He does. He still will come for you. Doesn't
he will fly over here and punch me in the dick because
I know who you are. I don't know what you want. Oh no! Yeah. So you played have you played the video game GoldenEye?
No.
Okay, that's all right.
I know it's very popular on the
only N64. One of the greatest video games of all time. It's fine. I'm not stressing out at all. But yes, again, a lot of people don't like Skyfall. I love Skyfall. People say Casino Royale. Skyfall is my favorite. I just love it to pieces. But most people might say Goldfinger or Dr. No or Live and Let Die. Yeah. But whatever. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I remember asking you about this a while ago. Like I wanted to start to get into James Bond, and I said, "Where do I begin?" And yes, it's very like I don't know because there's some crap in there. There is crap in there. There's 25 years of movies, so you're gonna fall into a lot of Thunderballs and Moonrakers. But this the man with the golden gun I love. That's Christopher Lee. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, he's the main bad guy in that one. And you got Goldfinger, which is where Oddjob comes from, the guy with the hat that throws. Yep. I don't know if that's Then you got Timothy Dalton, which is Timothy Dalton because of Living Daylights and License to Kill and stuff like that. But yeah. I would say start from the beginning because you just want to cover that's one of those. It's one of the longest running franchises of all time. Just get it out the way. Just knock it down. Got it.
Number 6. I don't think you've seen this, though. If you've listened to this Simplistic Reviews podcast, we make references to this movie all the time, mainly because Justin does the greatest Al Pacino impersonation of all time. But it's called Heat. I don't know if you've seen this movie.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. But I will agree that he does one of the best Al Pacino impressions I've ever heard.
If you ever hear Justin saying she's got a great ass or anything like that, that's from the movie Heat. It's the first movie where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro shared the screen together. They were in another movie together, but they didn't share the screen. This is also Val Kilmer. This is William Fichtner. This is Michael Mann.
No, I haven't
John
seen it.
Voight, Michael T. Williamson. Who else is it? Ted Levine's in this movie. Natalie Portman is in this movie.
Another Henry Natalie Rollins Portman in this list.
Yeah, this movie has one of the greatest casts of all time. But Danny Trejo's in this movie. Tom Sizemore's in this movie. Who am I forgetting? Tom Noonan's in this movie. It's a fantastic film. Michael Mann's masterpiece. It was based on this is a remake of a TV movie called I don't think it was called Heat. I think it was called Cops. I can't remember the name of it. But Dennis Farina was a consultant on this movie. It has one of the greatest shootouts in cinema history, to the fact that the military was using a scene where Val Kilmer shoots a gun as training. And they say, if you cannot shoot your gun and reload it as fast as Val Kilmer does it in this scene, you fail the class. That comes from the movie Heat. So yes, watch the movie Heat. It's fantastic. I think Moby does some of the soundtrack. It's fantastic. Next one. I don't believe you haven't seen Heat, but it's okay. It's a fringe movie, but once you see it, you're like, I think my life has changed. Here we go. Xander Berkeley's in that. Okay. The Wrath of Khan.
No.
You even know which number this Star Trek this is?
It doesn't matter. The only one that I've ever seen was the first remake with Chris Pine. That's the only one I've ever seen. The very first one, and I think I'm sorry, I did see the second one where Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan, and you found that out later.
So you have no reference to what the fuck he was talking about.
I mean, like I know like the nerd culture about like Khan, like I kind of know like he's the bad guy.
You don't know Khan,
but I don't know it as intimately as I should. No, I have
Ricardo
never.
Montalban just chewing the fuck out of the scenery the entire movie. That's all he's doing is just, good Admiral. It's fun. Trust me, if you're gonna watch any Star Trek movie, you can skip them all. Watch Wrath of Khan because it transcends a Star Trek movie. It transcends. Okay. It is probably William Shatner's. He's very good in it. He's very good. I don't want to use hyperbole. It's my favorite Star Trek movie. It should be everybody's. I know my friend Jay Clued hates it. I don't know why. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic movie, and so many things come from it. We did a sketch on it, and I have not released it yet. I've been sitting on it for 2 years. It's sitting in my. I have a where I play Leonard Nimoy's character, and Justin plays Kirk. I don't want to spoil it, what happens in the scene or whatever. Watch Wrath of Khan. We're going to move on. This one I know you've not seen. I know it. I should have put this higher. Fargo. Have you seen Fargo? Not the TV show, the movie.
I have.
Oh, you have?
I have seen Fargo, and I hated it.
What?
Yes.
What?
I remember watching Fargo. Okay, maybe. To be fair,
people say this is the best, the most perfect Coen Brothers movie, by the way.
To be fair, I may not have been in the mood to watch this movie. This may have been early on in our friendship where I was looking for movies that I need to watch or something like that. But I was trying to. I made a list of it, like what I have heard with classic movies, like Goodfellas.
Right.
The Godfather, like things like that, like classic movies. And this one made it onto the list. And I eventually watched it because it was on whatever streaming service I had at the time. And I watched it. Maybe I wasn't in the mood to watch this movie, but I was just so bored.
Are you kidding me? With Steve Buscemi and what's his name? Peter Stormare, William H. Macy.
I remember when the Fargo TV show came out and you guys were talking about it on the show, and I'm like, I don't give a shit.
It's fantastic. Here's the thing about the Fargo TV show. It's connected to the movie and it's not connected to the movie. So you can walk into the TV show and love it and never have seen the movie or watch the TV show and then watch the movie. And there's I think there's one sliver of a connection between Oliver Platt and what happens at the end with Steve Buscemi in the briefcase. Okay. That's the only connection that they think they have for them from the movie to the TV show, and that's it. And I think the first two, not the Chris Rock season of Fargo, but the first with Billy Bob Thornton and Martin Freeman, that season's fucking phenomenal to me. I love that season because Billy Bob Thornton is so creepy in that show. Anyway, well, I would never guess you wouldn't like this because it's so odd. Everybody acts odd.
To be fair, I acknowledge the fact that sometimes I watch a movie and I don't like it, or I do like it, and okay, mainly because when I don't like a movie, I acknowledge the fact that I may not be in the mood to watch that type of movie.
Okay.
So like a slow burn kind of movie where eventually it pays off and it's fantastic. And I'm watching it on midnight shift where I'm like, can somebody just throw a pie or something? Jesus Christ. So like I get that. And I don't like to judge movies on a single watch. So that may be one thing, but okay. But as it stands now, yes, I have seen it. Didn't care for it, but that may change.
Okay. Now next one, you had to have seen it because you were one of the voices in a sketch making fun of this movie. So I would be very surprised if you hadn't seen it. If you hadn't, you probably don't get the joke. The sketch that you were in. It's called John Carpenter's The Thing. Have you seen The Thing?
I have not seen The Thing.
You were in a sketch making fun of this movie where
I played Windows.
Yeah, Windows. It gets lit on fire. You have no idea what this movie is about.
I remember renting it from Blockbuster
Oh
so many
no.
years ago, and I started watching it and I got scared and I took it back.
Well, getting scared is a proper response. It's
Yeah.
a very scary movie. This movie did traumatize a lot of people. Also, the music from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is composed. Some of the music in this is composed by the same composer of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And Ennio Morricone did some of the music, but I think John Carpenter did like 90% of it or something like that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, same composer. But yes, The Thing, thought of to be one of the greatest, and it's a remake, one of the greatest remakes of all time, one of the greatest sci-fi, one of the greatest horrors, one of the greatest paranoia thrillers, whatever. It's so good, and it's Kurt Russell at its most Kurt Russell-y with that beard. Yeah, the Kurt Russell beard, one of the greatest beards of all time. Yes. I don't believe you did a sketch where you play the character.
I do remember. I remember walking the dog one morning after you had asked me to do this, and I looked up the scene so I could kind of get an idea for what windows looked like and how it kind of sounded like. So I'm like, okay, so this is where he's going with this.
We did a sketch based on the blood test scene, but I'm just gonna
I have no idea what that is. Apparently,
I have no idea what is this from. What's going on in this scene? What kids watch The Thing? All right, next one. This is a big blockbuster movie, so I'm assuming you've seen it. The next, probably a bunch of these. These are like, if you haven't seen them, something's wrong with you. So I'm thinking this is a clean sweep here. It's mainly because you know me and we talk about these movies all the time. Number 10, Inception.
Yes, one of my not favorite, like, and I've said this before, like, I'm a very big DiCaprio fan. I've seen almost everything that he's been in, everything that comes to mind, but I am a very big DiCaprio fan, and when something comes out that he's in, I will most certainly watch it, and Inception was no exception. I really that was good. I should have said that better. It would have been much better if I
didn't know it. I like it.
It would have come out much better if I wasn't 3 vodkas in. No, I do love Inception. It reminds me of something else that Shutter Island that was also from him, like where he has
it's
like
a sadder version,
a shitty past with the kids.
Shutter Island's
Shutter
Island's like the depressing version of Inception.
Yeah, exactly. What number are we up to?
We have 5 more, and these are rapid fire because you have to have seen all of these.
So I've gotten 3 out of 10.
Yeah, you failed already. You're a big failure. I'm
on par for mine. For my for 6 out of 50.
You are on par. But I think you've seen these next 5 movies. There's no way you've missed all 5. I would be stunned, mainly because you know me. Next one is Die Hard.
Yes, I made it a point to see Die Hard. In fact, Adriana, a previous guest, and I were talking about, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes, and we also came up with Gremlins. Like, so we were both supposed to watch. She didn't watch either one, but I watched both Gremlins and Die Hard, and I agree that Die Hard is and Gremlins is not.
That's my favorite villain of all time. I mean, we've mocked this movie on our show, mocked it lovingly because we love it so much. A zillion. This is a movie where I think our mutual friend Matthew Stewart and I couldn't literally do the entire movie as a play. We know every line. Matt will sometimes, if you ever listen to commentaries, Matt will sometimes say something, or I will say something that is kind of a line from Die Hard on accident. And then one of us, either me or him, will just go on a tangent and we'll just start talking. And I will jump into Alan Rickman voice and we'll just start going on a tangent about it because we've seen this movie maybe 7 million times.
I'm at 2. I watched it originally. I may be at 3 because I may have seen it in between here or there, but I've seen it originally, which was, to be fair, only in the past 2 or 3 years. That was one of the movies that I'm like, I should probably watch this movie. But to be fair, I had seen Die Hard 3 with Samuel L. Jackson several times. I loved it. I had just never seen the original. And when I watched the original, I watched number 2, which I didn't care for all that much, to be fair.
Yeah, it's the third best one.
Yeah.
It's the third best one. That's fine. I mean, I know Matthew loves it more than I do.
Does he really? The whole airport thing?
If you ever hear me and Matthew say, "Hey, Iwo Jima," he loves that. I put it this way: Die Hard 2 is not better than the other two, but it might have just as many great lines in it. So we always reference that movie.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'll give you that.
I got enough friends, which we say all the time, which is from Die Hard 2. Next one is again this one you had to have seen. Come on, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
Okay.
I saw. I wanted to go back and I wanted to watch all of the Indiana Jones movies because I had only
all three of them. You wanted to see all three of those movies.
I wanted to see all three of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, or excuse me, of Indiana Jones. See, yes. I told you about. So I watched the first one for the very first time. I watched the second one for the very first time, and then I watched Last Crusade for like the 18th time because I've seen Last Crusade several times, but I'd never seen the first two. So as of 8 months ago, I saw both the first and the second one for the very first time all the way through. I'd seen bits and pieces, but I had never actually seen the films. So like within the past year, I have seen the first two Indiana Jones movies in their entirety for the very first time.
It's one of those movies, Raiders, where when I was younger, it was Last Crusade was my favorite. Last Crusade and Raiders flip-flop depending on my mood which one is my favorite, because when I was younger, it was Last Crusade. But as I've matured and I rewatch Raiders, I'm like, this is a perfect movie. There is not a lot of problems with this movie. I know the Big Bang Theory about the whole movie takes place whether Indiana Jones is in it or not. The same result happens, which I think makes it even more perfect. But yes, Raiders of the Lost Ark is, they taught this movie to me in school, where this is Spielberg at his probably best. So yeah, Raiders is so good. Anyway, next three you had to see. This is Empire Strikes Back. You've seen this movie. Come on.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Jaws, you've seen this movie. Jaws, you've seen this movie. Jaws, you've seen this movie.
Okay. Does it I've seen most parts of this movie, and
my Lord,
I don't think I've ever seen it start to finish. However, Stephanie made me visit Martha's Vineyard where they shot parts of the movie. Does that count?
No,
it doesn't.
So if somebody says "smile, you son of a bitch," do you know what that means?
No.
Oh man.
I feel so bad about myself right now.
Oh man, we did a sketch on this movie too. There's a whole scene where it's Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss and Brody in the thing, and they're talking about their scars. And Robert Shaw goes into this speech called the Indianapolis speech. We made a spoof about this or whatever. But when I first saw this movie, I didn't give a crap about it. I just wanted the shark stuff. And when I got older, I started watching that scene again. I was like, you could make a movie about what he's talking about, which is a real occurrence when Indianapolis goes down, and he's like, all these sailors are in the ocean, and one by one, a shark comes and picks them off one by one throughout the night. And then, it's one of the greatest monologues of a movie ever is Robert Shaw in Jaws talking about the Indianapolis sinking. It's such a good movie, and the shark is great too. But
the shark was also there.
The shark was also there, but the three, when you get older, when you're young, he's like the shark. When you're older and you watch the movie, it's those three guys. The way that Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss, I'm blanking on his Brody, the guy who plays Brody. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. But yes, their camaraderie, their conversations. The Richard Dreyfuss Robert Shaw relationship, where it starts off antagonistic to getting that's their arc, is so good. Anyway, and of course the Godfather. This is the last one. You have to see the Godfather.
I did, because it was it was on my list of movies when I made it a point to watch these movies that when I really wanted to get into film, and especially because I was on midnight shift, years ago, and there was significant amount of downtime and I could watch these movies, and I said, I got to knock these out. So that was one of the ones that I had to have watched. I think it was one of the first couple that I started that I wanted to knock off the list. I never got around to 3 because I'm told I should definitely stop after 2.
Yeah, 2 is I think this is the better one. Some people say 2 is the better one. 2 is the longer one. But and I love 2. 3 is kind of like, you could just, when you watch your favorite athlete and they're in their prime, and you're just, and then you see them like when they're about to retire, and it's like glimmers of what they used to be, but it's not the same. That's kind of Godfather 3, where it's like, oh, this is nowhere near as good as the other two. Nowhere near as good. And it has the entire cast, except for Robert Duvall is not in the third one, but most of the cast is there. It's just not as good. It's just, it doesn't hit any beats that you're just like, oh, this is good stuff. Because you can, I've been quizzed and tested on Godfather 1, and it's not even my favorite movie of all time, but it's just one of those movies where you got to watch before you die. Yeah. I didn't put Citizen Kane on this list, which is another one, but
which I never saw before.
Yeah, I figured you hadn't. I think you had told me you hadn't seen it. That's why I didn't put it on here. Yeah. Which is another 5-star class. But it's one of those movies where you got to watch. Where you're like, okay, I've seen it. I get it. The brilliance of this at the time, unheard of. There's a show coming out where it shows I forget the name of it. I think it's called The Offer, and it's about how they made The Godfather. It's coming out with Miles Teller probably next month. But nice. I'm gonna watch that because if you ever listen to the story of how The Godfather and The Godfather 2 were made, it's a movie unto itself, and it's not a show unto itself. But yes, Godfather is it's one of those things. It's one of those things.
So I'm curious to see what my score was.
Okay, you got 1, 2. So you said, I'll give you Jaws. I still don't know why you didn't say it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7?
Hold 7 out of 15. Wait. 7. Wait. You haven't seen? Yeah, 7. 7 out of 15. You got over your quota. You got under mine. I wanted 3 more.
So it looks like I have homework, and I feel bad about myself at the same time.
Feel bad about yourself. I'm here to guilt you.
And that is what, and we didn't even say it one time, but at the same time, what the hell does the matter with me?
Well, there's many things.
All right, let's wrap it up. DJ, thank you very much for being my guest tonight. I know that this was more so for me and my own pleasure, because I got to have you on, and I wanted to have you on the show for a while. And again, thank you so much for all your help when it came to me wanting to venture into the podcast world. You were my guru for that. So
I'm always at your disposal. No problem.
And thank you for making me feel bad about myself.
Of course, my job
in the film and with the films I've seen and things that I need to seriously catch up on. But what I like to do for all of my guests is give them the opportunity to say anything that they want to leave our listeners with any last words that they have. So if you
Roy Scheider, Roy Scheider is his name. I was like, what the hell is Brody's name? I blanked out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm tired. I'm old. Roy Scheider. Watch the Simplistic, or listen to the Simplistic Reviews podcast, or watch the Simply 15 on YouTube, and just search Simplistic Reviews, or not. I don't really want to guilt you. I'm here to guilt Freddy. So if you don't want to watch it, that's cool.
Guilt me, and then I'll guilt them. You should you should listen to Simplistic Reviews podcast. If you like film and TV, check them out. And if you like kids, go to bed, because
if you want us to dement your children, put them right next to the iPod or the laptop or the YouTube channel, and let them listen to about 5 minutes of the Simplistic Reviews podcast, where we drop curse words you didn't know were invented yet, because we just made them up.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Daddy.
Good night, baby.